Now I'm ready to start sketching. Just a quick overview of the materials here. I have 2 microns. It's a 0.2 and a 0.05. 0.005. Yes. A pencil, HB, completely regular pencil, and an eraser. A brush. This is a size 6 round pan art brush. It's a synthetic brush and it has a nice snap to it, but use whatever you have. And I have some paint. I'm gonna talk about that later. Water, some cloth to dry off my brush, and then I have my flowers right next to me, and I can't really show you. There you go. I would tip the water, so and that would be all over the paper. So I'm gonna put a picture up here so you can see it. This is a sketchbook from Etcher, something like that. I love it, and that is all we need. This is going to be a summer bouquet in a. Of course, it's going to be watercolor and ink, but it's going to be quite intuitive. And I haven't practiced this style before, so let's see where it goes. I'm gonna start out with a big flower. I have a daisy around here. That daisy has some beautiful petals around it, so I'm just gonna sketch the surface here. So I want this to be fairly white when I do my wash. And then I'm not going to add the details just yet. I think this is going to be a little wider. I'm going to put it here. So I have my main flower here. And I have some blue ones up here, and it has a center there. And there's some beautiful petals going out from that. Here I could definitely sketch out the petals like here, but I kind of wanted to just get a little bit of shape going. There's a friend over here. Right now I'm just going for the big flowers here. So I'm just sketching out. There you go. And this is not going to be an exact replica of the bouquet, and I'm not planning on using all of them either, not at all. Just going with the flow here. See, I'm just gonna see where this will take me. This has a stem there. Then there might be a leaf of some kind of these beautiful raggedy leaves are so pretty. There you go. Then I have, this one has a stem that's rather big. Then I have something over here. I'm just looking over at the bouquet to see shapes that I like, flowers that I like, and just capturing those. So they're not really placed anywhere close to the reference, but it is an extract of the reference. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to put in see, these are blue. Actually going to put in a few lavenders as well. I love lavenders. These remind me so much of summer vacation. So definitely going to put in a few of those. And maybe up here. See, I'm doing this just small shapes here and there. And I'm trying to keep it flowy, so there's I try to keep them dancing, if that makes sense. Want them to be moving. So all the lines are kind of just flowy. Then I have in my reference some yellow as well. Of course the center will be yellow, But I do have some, these are not dandelions, but something close to them. So I'm gonna put in a few more for a bit of balance here. There's going to be one. And maybe up here, one of those going upwards. And then it has a little bit of stem going. I'm gonna put in the stems later. But then we have 3 areas of yellow that might work. Let's see, I could use, I have a big flower here. I have a big flower here. And I didn't practice this beforehand, so if I am rambling a little bit about something, then that's just the reason why. I actually have some big white cloud of a flower going on. At the moment I can't, for the love of God, remember what it is called. But it's like a Queen Anne's lace close to it. It has these, it's like a cloud of white, and then it has stems attached to them. Of course, this is going to be a little bit challenging to paint in watercolor, so we'll see how we do that. I think I'm actually going to let the yellow flower over here overlap a little bit. So we have something like that. Okay, this is there's a lot of white space down here, and I kind of like that. I do want a vase of some kind here. So you can give it a little bit of a shape. And then we can get some overlapping leaves here, so we get a little bit of depth. So this might work. I'm going to keep this white space here, but I might want to try to get this kind of movement. We already have it a little bit, but I want it to be a little more, maybe just adding something over here, a little bit of keep them dancing. There you go. So there's a little bit of movement there. And maybe add something up here. Can add maybe a lavender going up there. Yeah, I think that works. Okay, now we have our sketch down. I'm not gonna do any more. So now we're going to wet the page. And I'm just gonna show you my paints real quick. These are Daniel Smith. These are actually tubes that I just squeezed in here and let it dry for two days or something like that. So they work really well. And I'm going to put it here. And I'm not sure if you can actually see it. I'm pretty sure you can't see it actually. I'm going to remove these. And now you can see it a little bit better. The first thing I'm going to do is actually wet the page, and I think I'm gonna use a different brush for that. I'm going with this. It's a size 11. It's Betty Hayway's. This is kind of cool. It's still a synthetic brush, but it acts like a natural hairbrush. So I'm just gonna put in quite a lot of water here. And if you are like, oh no, she's painting on top of the pencil line, how's that ever gonna go away? It's not. So don't be scared. It's not gonna go away. We love it, and we're going to keep it. And I'm not wetting the entire page. I'm just, wow, I just dropped my cloth here. So there you go. I'm just gonna wet here around the flowers and we'll see how the paint will spread. But we want to stay pretty much clear of the areas where it's white. Of course, we can't avoid getting paint on it, and that's totally fine as well. We're going to incorporate it, but for now, this is working really well. So, now I am going to, let's see, what colors should we use here? There's a lot of blue and some pink in these colors. Almost it's purple. I think I'm gonna go with a mix here. So I'm gonna clean off the palette here. Oh, there's a lot of paint here. I'm gonna clean it up. Only do this if you're actually filming stuff, otherwise just paint with it. But for the sake of the example, I'm gonna remove it. So I'm actually going to mix a purple. I'm using a French ultramarine here. And it's a nice warm blue. I'm gonna mix it with a quinacridone rose. It gives me a beautiful purple. There you go. I'm just gonna, you can see I'm just dabbing it in here. And I'm not, this will dry up super blotchy. Totally know that. And I am totally fine with that as well. So that is good. Good, put it here as well. We want this to be light and let's put in a little bit more blue. We want this to be light and summery. So this is a perfect way to get that feel, summer feel, where we don't really control it. We're gonna let the paints do its thing. And see how it runs here. Normally, if you were painting something very tight, you would be all scared and crazy about this. We're not going to be that. But I am going to add the yellow now, and I'm gonna go with a New Gamboge. Gonna add it here to the center. Not all of it. I want to keep some white space for the sake of the light. And you remember we sketched out these areas where we want the yellow flowers, so it's quite easy to place the yellow. There you go. Just gonna look up, and I actually have some green in there as well, so I'm gonna put in some green gold. It can kind of just blend with the flow here. And I think I'm going to keep the green gold as my main green. So remember, this is going to be white. It actually has a little bit of yellow in it as well. I'm gonna put in the stems here. Some green for the stems. And yes, it flows, and that's going to be beautiful. I'm gonna put in a little bit of yellow dots here and there. And these are kind of, oh, that was a lot. These are kind of the centers of the flowers. There you go. Gonna put in a little bit more green, just because we have some green peeking through in some areas of this white flower. There you go. So this will turn out really well, I think. Now we can concentrate on, oh, I want to add some more blue to this one. You can see how all the color kind of ran that way. As long as it's wet, you can still add more color. So I'm just gonna do that here. There you go. And if you have, if you want to learn more about flowers in watercolor and ink, you're more than welcome to jump onto my website. I have quite a lot of tutorials, and I have an entire masterclass on this exact style. So check it out. There's so much in there. I'm just gonna put down some of the green gold here to mix with my violet, just to see if I can get a tone that works for me. I think this is fine, so I'm gonna put it. You can see how it muddied up the color quite a bit, but I really like that, so that is cool. And I think I'm actually going to add a little bit of pink, the rose, just for the outlines here. There's some very beautiful reddish outlines on these leaves, so I'm adding that in here. This, oh, that got a little bit too muddy. Want it to be fairly clean. Right. And summary. Go. I'm gonna put some stems in here, and you can see how I'm working on a lot of areas at the same time. And you can do that because everything needs to dry anyway, so that's totally fine. Just gonna put a little bit of green in there so it can mingle. And I have to not forget about the lavenders, and they are a more bluish tone, I think. But there you go. Oh, that is a little bit too blue. I'm gonna put in a little bit of the, there you go. Up here as well. Little bit. There's not too much. There's not enough blue. And right now this is looking like a mess, but don't worry, we'll fix it. There you go. And I have some flowers. These flowers up here are kind of pink and green. So we're going to add a little bit of pink. These are pink, these are pink, these are pink, and then I have the green going up here. There you go. Just adding, I'm just mixing up this muddy green here just for some change in the color. It's a good idea to know how to muddy up your colors. Often it can be really annoying when you have muddy colors, and that can be one of the biggest challenges when you are new. Why do my colors seem to muddy up all the time? But it's a good idea to get a good understanding of that, and you can really work with it, because sometimes you want muddy colors and neutrals because it's beautiful, but of course not all the time. I think I want a little bit of blue in the stem area here. Of course we're going to add a little bit of water as well, but I'm gonna wait a little bit for that. You can see I have a little bit of a drip up here, and this is just waiting for, I think I'm gonna leave it. I want to dry this up now, and then we can come back to it with the fineliner when it's dry. So now it's dry, and I'm just gonna remove this and these for a little while at least, and then we can add fineliner details. Now it's going to get fun. I still have my reference, and I'm just going in with my small one first, so 0.05, and I made sure that this is completely dry. If it hadn't dried completely, this would ruin the fineliner. I threw out so many fineliners because I hadn't waited for it to dry long enough. So just don't do that to yourself. I'm gonna start with this flower. It's the main flower, and I can see the features of it is this these long petals starting here and going out. And I'm not going to sketch them all out in its entirety, but I'm going to suggest they are here. And this is what, of course, creates the shape of our flower. So we want, of course, to add details, but you don't want to overdo it and go in and add all the outlines. Here I have a flower that is actually bent a little bit, or petal that is kind of bent. That's really cool, so I'm going to add that. And always look for shapes that are a little bit unnatural. If you have a natural reference like I have here, it's so much easier to actually see the imperfections in the flower. If you have a stock photo or just something you found on somewhere, it can be edited out. All the beautiful imperfections that are actually the thing that creates the beauty in the flowers. So we want to try to see if we can show the flower in its imperfections as well. And I'm going to, you can see I'm adding a little bit, a few layers here just to show there's more, and breaking the lines a little bit so it's not totally the same. Remember to look up at your reference, and even if I have my pencil line here, if I don't feel like it, don't go all the way. That's just, don't let yourself be guided too much by the guide you created for yourself. Don't let it be a limitation. This should be something that helps you. Let's see this. Another one up here. And I have my center, and that is all. It's actually small lines here at the bottom. And in some areas it's actually covered because I have this going upwards, and then I can just add small circles. The circles are bigger on the outside than on the inside, so I can just add dots in here. Just circles here. See how this is, I'm gonna speed it up. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna talk over it here. I could speed this up, but I'm not. I think it's good to see the actual process of this. Think of this as a meditative exercise, and it's really great. This is what I'm going to do right now, and we're going to strengthen some of these lines a little bit later and add more details. So, and I am going to put a stem here. There you go. You want to work pretty fast. We're going to keep the loose interpretation of this to make it nice and flowy. Here we have a leaf. Again, don't finish the lines, make them broken, and you'll create something really beautiful and sketchy. And I actually have a freebie for you if you are into more watercolor and ink, and that is a small ebook. Very small, it's more like a guide, but it has all the tips on how to create these ink lines to create life in your beautiful drawings. So this will help you breathe life into your art. And you can check that out if you like. I'm gonna put this one in here. We have this beautiful center. I'm gonna put that in first. I have something to guide me. And then I have my leaf petals there, and I have one here, and I have one up here, there, and then have something overlapping here. You can see I'm not doing much, but the little thing I'm doing here is more than enough. Just putting in the stem there. I have a stem up here as well for this beautiful flower, and it has some greens on the back there. A little bit over there as well, and I think that is it. That goes into a stem down here. Go. And don't be scared of these overlapping and doing all these weird things. Remember, it's a sketch, so you can just sketch on top of it, and it's totally fine. Up here we have these beautiful white, oh sorry, not white, yellow flowers. Just gonna put a little bit of detail in that, not too much. Has these beautiful texture bottom here. You can see how this color just flows around and becomes very natural and beautiful. Then I have this over here, the Queen Anne's lace. I think I'm gonna do some of these lines. Just to see if I can get some of the structure of this, and then I'm not gonna do outline, but I'm going to show a little bit of the structure of this. You can see I wanted for this to be in the front, so I'm gonna do this, not outline, but kind of outline out like that. Then I have a lavender here. I'm just gonna put that in as well because I want that to be in the front. There's smaller parts towards the top there, and have a little bit of a bloom going on there. There you go. So now it's in front here, and that's looking really cool. Just gonna think, how can I define this a little bit more? I'm gonna include a few small blooms in here. So up here there's actually a little bit of these small details in the flower, and I have these yellow things going on. That is a part of the flower as well, so I can add a few details to that. Just gonna add a few details there as well. Now I might have outlined this actually a little bit too much, but don't overdo this. It's very easy to get carried away. I'm just gonna add a few lines here and there because this is you can see through the flower. Here you go. I'm not gonna add more to this. If you add too much detail here, it will take away the attention from this, and this is the main attraction. So we want people to look this way, I think. I'm gonna put this one in here. There you go. And it has these beautiful lines there, and actually has a small bud there. That's really cool. Just going up down here. Then we have some, let's see, over here we have a lavender going on. It's actually moving itself up here. It's turning smaller. There you go. And I have this. And this is actually, there's a lot of flowers going on there. I'm just gonna put that in here as almost like a texture type thing. The same with this. It's actually some kind of herb. I think it's oregano or something like that. I just picked up in my garden. I do try to paint everything I find in there. It's filled with inspiration. So cool. So don't bother that much if it's not a flower. It can be anything really. There you go. So now we have this, and I think we are pretty much done with all the flowers here. I'm gonna put in a few more stems here and there. And of course we have our vase going on here. Go. Mine could be a little bit more straight here, but it's good for now. Now we have our main structure, and I'm going to add details first, and I'm going to do that with this one as well. And I'm not going to add detail to everything. I'm just going to start with this and work my way out from here. And the way I do it is I want to draw the lines within the petals. So I'm going to start from the center. I'm going to work myself out here. And this will help shape your flower and give it a lot more character. You can go from the outer edge as well. And don't just sketch all the way through. You want to keep it light and not too much pressure going on. You can see how this instantly gives this flower a 3D feel, and that is so cool. I love this stage because you can really just shape your flower doing this. Just make sure you don't overdo it. If there's too much detail, it becomes way too heavy, and we don't want to do that. I can see now that there's a lot of things going on, and I want to get a little bit of shadow in here. So I'm actually going to darken this area here a little bit. We are going to work with shadows a little bit also a little bit later, but right now I just wanted to add a little more here so I can work with that 3D feel. There you go. Now I like this, and I'm going to work towards these two flowers. I think they are a big part of this composition as well. So I'm gonna take a look at my reference, and I'm just gonna, so it actually has some lines here that are pretty apparent, that are actually a part of the color structure and not as much just a shape thing. I'm gonna put those in, not too much, but a little bit. They will help shape the flower as well. It's a good idea to have different sizes of fine liners, so you actually have something to work with. I'm gonna put that shape in again. You can see I'm not adding as much detail to this than I did this. Because I want this to be my main focus. And of course it does help that this one has the warm yellow and all of these are blue, because the yellow warm color will drag in the viewer. And I know there's a bit of yellow up here as well, and a little bit over here, but it's not that much, and there's not much detail here, not as much as here. So that should be okay. And it balances the composition. Go. I'm gonna add a little bit of detail to this one as well. There you go. And these beautiful leaves are, they have some line here, but I'm not gonna add too much, just a little bit. Right now I only use the 0.05 Fineliner, which is totally fine, and you can work quite a long time with this, but at some point you want to shift your gear a little bit and go to something a little bit bigger. I'm gonna switch to my 0.2, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to strengthen my shadows, and there's a lot of different ways to shade your sketch, but the way I'm going to do it here is actually just strengthening the lines where there's shadow. So I'm going to show you here. There's a shadow below there, so I'm going to strengthen that line. Shadow down there. There. Just strengthening the lines, working my way around here. And at some point I just forget to peek at the reference, so apologize for that. You can see how this gives a even more three-dimensional feel. The stems have a shadow on that side, right side, so I'm gonna just strengthen the lines there, there, there. I'm gonna put some shadow onto that. And of course you can do a lot more on shadows and shading, and I have covered that in my class on this. So if you want to really dive into watercolor and ink florals, then that class is for you. But I really find this method is working really nice. You can see how adding a thicker line really just gives this some life. It's not as flat as before. Put in a little bit of a line there. Strengthen some of these. And it's actually, I'm not sure what's wrong with this. There's something wrong with this. It might be just done, but I have to push a little bit to get my color, which is annoying. But I'm gonna survive. Don't worry. I'm gonna put a shadow on this one. You can see how you really have a nice background to this as well. We haven't really worked with the background, but by keeping it loose like this, it really just made everything pop. Gonna put a little bit of a definition there, so we have the water. And I think I might be saying that this is kind of cool. I'm going in to erase some of the pencil lines here. We have a lot of pencil line here around the daisy. I'm gonna erase that just to see how that will work. Oh, that was really good. I'm glad I did that. I can take that away as well. Some of these. And of course you won't be able to remove everything because we painted on top of it. But some of it will be possible. Apologize if I am shaking you right now. There you go. I really like this sketch, so I'm gonna call it done. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you are interested in more watercolor and ink tutorials, you are more than welcome to check out my freebie on creating or breathing life into your watercolor and ink flowers and sketches. But you're more than welcome to check that out and check out my classes on the subject, and just get sketching some flowers because it's so much fun, and you can do it wherever you want. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you at some other time.